Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It is so nice to see you all here today. My name is Sana Rahmat and I am the Faculty Outreach Advisor at XtremeLabs. We are really excited to be hosting this MCT Meetup in November. Today, I'm very glad to introduce Ms. Callahan as our co-host for November MCT Meetup. Callahan has led our October MCT Meetups last month and it was one of our best MCT meetups because there was some positive feedbacks from our users and a demand for her recorded sessions. So you all can also watch the recordings. I just shared the link in the chat. Her efforts and contribution towards MCT community are really phenomenal, and everybody knows that. Callahan has been in the IT field, most of which as a Microsoft certified trainer MCT for more than 20 years, having been consultant, trainer, and technical writer since the 1990s. She has spoken at numerous events including TechEd, Ignite, and Windows Connections. Callahan is a former MVP and has authored or co-authored several books about Windows Server, Windows Client, and Microsoft SharePoint. She has also had the occasional opportunity to design and contribute content for mock courseware, as well as staffed and supported hands-on labs for numerous Microsoft events. So without any further ado, I would like you all to welcome Ms. Callahan. Over to you, Callahan. The stage is all yours. You can now just
Thank
take
you.
the lead.
Thank you, Sana. It's so cringy to hear somebody just talking about me while I'm standing right here. But yeah, that's me. That's basically the synopsis of what I do and how I do it. So, excuse me, I hate to clear my throat in front of you, but it is a change in weather and it's getting really cold out here, but surprisingly overheated here in my attic. So if I appear to be in any discomfort whatsoever, now you understand why. Changes in weather, it's a challenge. So I want to thank everybody who has attended. There are quite a number of people, and there are a lot of new faces, which I really appreciate. This session, I was working hard on trying to figure out how to give it a catchy title, something that gave an idea as to what I was going to be talking about while keeping it short. And because my first session was demystifying MCT Central, and then I'm continuing on in that vein, I decided it was a demystifying series. Yeah. And I'm going to be talking about something that goes from the previous session. So if you're following the recordings, one was about MCT Central. This one's going to be about focusing on the MCT, the Microsoft Certified Trainer pages that are publicly available over at the Learn docs, the Learn documents, and go into those a little bit because they're kind of carrying some of the things that are difficult to find on MCT Central, and then show you just a couple of things that might be missing from those public docs that are available at the MCT Central website for kind of no reason. They don't necessarily need to be different in that way, but they are, and it's good for us to know, right? Might as well spend my time discovering these things and telling you rather than having you have to waste your time to go look for them. If we have time at the end, I'd also like to just take a quick look at the learning paths because they have been a bit of a pain point for all of us and a little bit confusing. And I want to kind of point out something from the point of view of the attendees that you may not be aware of or something that might have confused you or caused issues. So we're going to try to get to that. And if we don't, I'll just do a demystifying series part 3 and cover that in more detail. Nonetheless, my name is Callahan, and I am going to basically be covering a repeat, essentially, of the slides from the MCT Central, that first demystifying session, slightly modified for this one. And that is what do MCTs need, what do we have, where are resources, and then a quick look at the learning paths. So this is my agenda. If you want to take a quick look at that, for those of you who have a learning process that requires a list like this. So what do we have for MCTs that are publicly accessible? The certified trainer docs, easily navigated, lacks the confidential recordings and things that would have been on MCT Central that you have to log in for. And it basically has most of the stuff we need. And it appears, by definition, to be updated more often because those documents get a lot more of attention. There are actually people paid to go look at those and make sure they're updated specifically. So now I'm going to take a look at the Microsoft Certified Trainer documents. So I'm going to slide over to, I believe, here. There we go. So I am in a Microsoft Edge browser profile. In case you guys don't really explore the profiles, I suggest you do. They're very useful, and Google has them as well, so that I have profiles for each one of my logins. And so this one is a white theme. I have other of these windows open to show you different things, and they are a black and white theme because I don't have the best eyesight. Obviously, I have glasses. So dark background white text works better for me. If any of you are working in a white background with dark text and you're starting to get eye strain through the day, you may want to consider changing your theme in order to make it more comfortable for you. There's a lot of accessibility things you can do there. Also, speaking of that, I am displaying on a wide screen, and you may be looking at this on a laptop. So if this is difficult for you to see, please let Sana and I know in the chat, and I will accommodate. I could be using Zoom It in order to zoom in and out. This is a tool that not everyone has. And I like to do presentations without fancy tools so that you can see how this is done and you can repeat it yourself. Basically, as an instructor, I'm modeling for all instructors the simplest tools that all of us have available so that you can see that you can do this successfully. What I want to show is, despite my 20 years of experience, anything I do, you can do. That's the whole point of being a trainer. Anything I can do, you can do. I just show it to you. So for that fact, I have this screen zoomed in 150%, so you should be able to see this no problem. But if you cannot, please let me know. Also, this lets you know that this page might look different on your screen because I have it zoomed in. So particularly in MCT Central, over on the right side of the screen, as you scroll down, would be a bar that ends up right in the middle of my screen because I've zoomed in. And this Zoom is particularly for your benefit because I am aware that I am recording on a larger screen, which means the recording may be too small to see on smaller screens. At any rate, now here I am on the Microsoft Certified Trainer page at learn.microsoft.com, ENUS, because that's my language, under certifications, MCT certifications. So how did I get here? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I just went to the search engine of choice, and I typed in Microsoft Certified Trainer. You can see in my history that that's what I've done. And then I went to the first link. That's how easy it is to get to this page. This page has surfaced from start to finish, basically, how to become an MCT. Program benefits. Shows you a picture of MCT Central. For any of those who were afraid of showing MCT Central for fear that it violated something because it required a login, Microsoft has done it. So you could use this to demonstrate MCT Central if you want. Who can become an MCT Central? Application process is a separate page. It's right here. Whereas if you're on MCT Central, which I happen to have here, it's really hard to see the details about how to become an MCT because you have to have a login to get there first, which means you need to be an MCT to be able to access this page about MCTs. So it makes perfect sense that there is a publicly accessible page without authentication to look into how to become an MCT. MCT program requirements are listed here. These are the train the trainer base technical training proof that you can perform kind of exams, tests. I prefer a written exam and a performance exam, both of which you could fail. If you are not able to teach at a level that allows you a certification as a technical trainer, you should be able to fail that knowing that you need improvement, get that improvement, then get the certification so that it proves that you are top tier. That way, when you get into the MCT program, you are top tier. And so it's by default, anybody who's an MCT is also really good at what they do. These are good proof points. There are occasional ones that slide in that you pay $1,000, and as long as you paid $1,000 and make it through the weekend of training, you've got your technical. Also, there are a few of these are actually just written exams. However, they come and go, they do change. If you're getting ready to renew as an alumni and you want to take one of these exams to have it under your belt, or if there is a new person who wants to be an MCT, always check this before you invest in any of these to make sure that they're still valid, because they come and go. I didn't realize they did until I heard of someone who went through the whole process of earning something that was listed on this page, and then it was removed, and it was heartbreaking. So take a look at these. I, of course, love the CompTIA CTT. However, it is expensive and a challenge to do. The IAMCT ATT, Approved Technical Trainer, is also a great one. And I know the people who are handling that, that's international. So program entry requirements are right here. And some instructional skills requirements that are instructional skills certification programs listed above are specifically for their region, so they're in different languages and not available everywhere. The MCT application process, that wasn't really surfaced at Central Admin because, again, it is focused on somebody who's already been through this. So if you want to take a quick look at the program guide before you renew, the program agreement, enrollment, and renewal guides, they're listed here, not in MCT Central. And the enrollment tool is also here and not at MCT Central. I kind of pointed that out. If we go over to MCT Central, nowhere on this page does it actually say enrollment tool. They just don't surface it here. So if this were our only place to go for MCT information, this website would not actually surface the enrollment tool. So you have to come to the public document for our enrollment tool, which is also our renewal tool. They're one and the same. If you want to, after you have enrolled and you want to renew, you can renew as an active MCT, or you can do the alumni program. When you want to renew, you need to make certain that your certification has not expired. You have to be sure that you have a current certification, and you have to do metrics that matter. And metrics that matter is our evaluation platform for evals. So you have to prove that you have evaluations for at least one course, if not more. And it helps if they are not bad evaluations. So try to keep, your performance high. It's the whole point. But to prove that you have evaluations, you need to get them onto the Metrics That Matter platform. If we're at MCT Central, nowhere on this page does it use the words metrics that matter. Can't find it. Can't find it MCT Central. At MCT Central, metrics that matter is under MCT Guide. If you give that a click, MCT Guide, Essential Metrics That Matter links. This is the page that is the be all, end all information about metrics that matter for MCTs. And you cannot get this page if you are on the public Microsoft Certified Trainer page at Learn. If you were to click on metrics that matter here, and I'm just going to bring up a different tab, it's the public page and it's not MCT specific. It doesn't give you MCT instructions. It's just basically a sales page. So to get to metrics that matter in a manner that's relevant to MCTs, you do have to go to MCT Central and go to the MCT Guide to really get a very good page that explains to you a lot about registering for metrics that matter, what MCTs need and what they do, how to manage your profile, how to schedule classes. All this information is here, but it's not surfaced at MCT Central as anything but an MCT guide. There's nowhere in there that says metrics that matter. Go here, big arrow blinking. This is where metrics that matter stuff is. So I wanted to make certain that we all knew that the MCT guide is the biggie. Right now, I wish I had zoom it so I could zoom into that and make it more dramatic. But the MCT guide in this bar, the resource bar on the right, towards the bottom, actually, it's at the very bottom of the MCT Central page, is where the MTM page is, the metrics that matter for us. Hen, I think you have your mic open. Every once in a while, I'm getting a little bit of feedback for you. I apologize. So sorry about that, man. So back on the MCT certified trainer page, if we were to go past the application process and past the requirements to renew your status, you can also see current eligible Microsoft certifications and qualifications for the MCT program. And this has increased quite a bit because over time, Microsoft has been increasing their stuff in the cloud. Notice at the bottom, they talk about the Microsoft Office specialists. That's for existing MCTs. New MCTs cannot get in if they only hold a Microsoft Office certification. You need to get one of these other certifications in order to qualify, even if you do actually focus on Microsoft Office, if you're coming in as a new person. And then they have a little bit about the MCT alumni program that's been getting whittled down and whittled down and whittled down until basically you just need to you need to have prior participation in the MCT program. Yes, in good standing, yes, but our alumni benefits have become discount on books and exams, which is kind of sad because there used to be a lot more to it. However, anyone who has ever been an MCT, ever, you can still access MCT Central. I have to assume that part of the reason why they do that is to give you a leg up, a chance to come back to being active. So they give you the capacity to watch the train the trainer videos for business applications or the trainer readiness, as well as this other information. So that is the point, the case for alumni benefits. If you want to become an alumni, know that basically takes you out of the enrollment tool and takes you out of the program. To come back as an alumni, you have to reapply as if you're new. There used to be a way to just transition. You go alumni and you're sort of paused and then you just start again. But that was also a time when the fee was $800 American money for Americans every year. So, things change. The MCT enrollment tool, by the way, if you're an active MCT, will every time you renew, give you that choice of renewing as an active MCT or an alumni. So this information is here for you. It's obviously clear, it's logical, it's laid out well. You can also come down to the bottom to see about sharing your transcript. And in case you don't know how to go to your profile and bring that up. And I had instructions in the Facebook group and other places about that. So this is pretty logical. Another thing that this site does is it kind of lumps in certified trainers with learning partners. And so it gives you some information about learning partners, like the value of learning partners. This page was much more thorough 2 months ago, or yeah, it was in September when I first started building this content. This page had more to it, but nonetheless, this will let you know how to join the Learning Partner program, find a learning partner, etc. So it's very interesting. The real point, though, was for me to cover the certified trainer page and see how it differed and had more direct value for new MCTs and renewing MCTs. Another link in here that's very quietly available is the benefits page. This benefits page is also available from the MCT. Hermine had asked a question. When I get to the questions and answers, if you could flag that for me, Sonda, that would be great. But on the MCT Central was a slide that somebody put up years ago. And I want to thank whoever that person was because it's been priceless. And that was available only through MCT Central. Now, though, it's open to anybody who just clicks this random explore all the benefits page to anyone, even if they're not an MCT. And this slide is the MCT resources and benefits, stuff that requires authentication to get to, such as the courseware marketplace. SkillPipe is dead for us, but there's links to it and just goes to a blank page. But courseware marketplace, the Learning Download Center, the MCT store, getting our MCT discounts, all of that is surfaced here. So, but that link, that explore our benefits, is a nice quick way for us to get to Learning Download Center if we have a bookmark it, so that we don't have to worry about going to MCT Central, then going to that, and then Nah, here, bang. And also, you can get to the courseware marketplace for courses that are not available as MOC. You can look at practice exams, etc., from this link on the publicly available page. So this is largely what I've been looking at and helping people with when they become an MCT. They go to MCT Central and where is everything? This page is now here, and it seems really, really logical. We've got somebody new coming in. Welcome to whoever that may be. So if I go back to MCT Central, though, what again you have that isn't available elsewhere are actual videos of other trainers giving you tips and tricks about training. This is a good place to go for the different forums that you can get to from here. I believe they might require authentication to get into. That can change, but right now it does. And you can also take a look at just the little things that would have required authentication to get to are going to be listed here. Recordings for previous town halls and sessions that are unique to our program. So that's where I'm feeling MCT Central is going. And the real meat for renewing, for listing requirements and things are going to be on that public document. However, having said that, there was the courseware title plan and MCT competency requirements is a spreadsheet. And when I originally looked at the certified trainer page, I had found a link about that in here, and now it's gone. But I had found a link that brought up what courses we were allowed to teach based on what certifications we had and what courses we were not. And I am not seeing it here now. So that may have changed. Maybe it's hidden under something else. But when in doubt, if you can't find it here, go to MCT Central. So I'm hoping that this was used. I'm just sort of scrolling up. Probably shouldn't do that. Make people car sick as I'm idly scrolling and talking. It's like walking and talking. I can't help it. I now am going to transition over to the learning path thing. But before I go there, I just want to take a glance at chat. And does anybody have any questions so far or comments about the fact that there is now a Microsoft certified page with all this information on it under the docs or learn versus what's on MCT Central? Just checking to see if anybody had any questions before I kind of close that topic and move on. So if anybody feels like typing in the chat, there was a question that someone had earlier that I mentioned to you, Sana, but I take it Sana answered that.
Yes, that was a training question, and I just shared my email address in the chat so that Jennifer can contact me directly.
Okay, great. And I think I see something here from Hermine is a certified trainer or credential a one-time credential as long as you're active, or do you have to renew it every year? The answer is clearly renew it every year, because that's why we have renewal tools. As a matter of fact, if you scroll down to the MCT requirements to renew MCT status, I'm highlighting it right here, you do have to renew every year. So I wanted to mention that because that is relevant to the MCT program. And I believe I can safely move on to our next topic. So I'm going to slide over to my slides and give that a click. And again, these slides just mentioned for those of you who are visual and want to have a good summary of what I was just talking about and what we need. The list of courses that we're allowed to teach, those are on MCT Central, which I covered at length in the previous October session, if you want to go take a look at that. But these kind of resources that we expect to have are now split between two places, and I feel like we all need to know. So, what do we have for MCTs? MCT Central, and I'm not gonna. I should have hidden that. So now we're going to take a look at, because that was the stuff about MCT Central, and we're not covering that in this session. We just covered the docs page. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the learning paths. So I'm just going to pause to check in the chat. Does anybody attending have a particular question or concern or issue with learning paths, trainer to trainer? So that I can be sure that I can cover that for you. So we kind of know, so I know what direction you need me to go in. Hermine is still asking about the certified trainer part. Yeah, the certified trainer part is it's a one time. You have to renew it every year, and you have to qualify every year. You have to have your evaluations in metrics that matter. Hermine, you have to have evaluations in metrics that matter, and you have to be sure that the certification that you have is one that still qualifies you to renew. So I am checking somebody is typing. I don't know if they're in the conversation with Sasan and Hermine, or if they're actually referring to the learning paths. But regardless of whether or not I'm getting any feedback, this is what I'm covering now. So I'm going to take a look at these learning paths. And let me get back to this page will do. So I'm back in my MCT profile, and I'm going to just take a look at the learning paths. So to start with, users are going to take classes with us as instructors, and they are going to be using the learning paths we tell them to go to learn. But there may be some ambitious or eager students who found out they're going to be taking a class and want to get ahead. And so what they may do, or they may choose to take a class specific to a certification. The one I'm familiar with right now is I'm doing the Power Platform, so PL 100. And so if they go to the exam page for PL 100 and scroll down, they will see a collection of modules. Okay. These modules may not be of the same content or the same quality as what we'll be teaching. So if they access the learning path material from here and they start at the top and they just continue to go, they will be out of sync with the rest of the students. I have to ask, has anybody ever seen this themselves or had this experience? Anyone? And I think Hen is typing. I'm not sure if he's typing something else or if he's trying to answer. But anybody who has a comment about it, feel free to open your mic. Okay, so Johnny has said the learning paths for Dynamics 365 Finance is pretty clear, which is their focus, which is great. And I'm glad that that one is, but a lot of them are not. I have been told. And a lot of these learning paths are actually just completely separate modules that can be in a different order depending on how you access them, which is why I said learning paths two faces, because if a student wants to get the certification of PL 100, they may come to the exam page and then start using these modules in this order. But if you go back to the search, there's also the course, which is generally what we teach. And the course has the modules in a different order, and they can be completely different modules. So what you're training, which is supposed to match the skill pipe, and back in September when I first designed this, I could get to my skill pipe and I could show you the PL100 and skill pipe, the outline, and then the course outline, this list, items in this collection, matched what was in the content for the student handbook. So this is what actually matched our training, the Microsoft official curriculum. Now they have changed this since we got since October has come and passed, and we're now in November. So it even more matches the material that we will be teaching out of. Why? We used to have a PDF copy of the course book that the students would have so that we could teach along with it to make sure that what they were looking at for the visual students who are not confident and they need to make sure that they really are learning everything. They can't just freehand it. So they've got the book up, you've got the book up, they know that you're following it. Everybody knows what's going on. Well, now it's just focusing on the slides. We're just teaching off the slides. And if anybody knows anything about slides, they're not super informative. So if I were to, let me get my, I don't want to be just showing off the slides because that's private property stuff. But I'll just give you an idea. In the slides for the first one, there is a link. So if I hold the control key and I click, it takes you to the introduction to Microsoft Power Platform. And trust me, it follows this list up here exactly. So the first module is Introduction to Microsoft Power Platform, and it matches the introduction to the Power Platform from, and I'll drag this up just briefly so you can see it, because I realize I'm not sharing this with you guys. Just maximize it. The slides with the link. This link took me to the same place as the course for PL100T00. So this is a course we're teaching off of. This is what the students are seeing, and it matches the links. Supposedly, I can't guarantee, haven't done every course, haven't seen everything. So there could be problems out there. But right now with this one, at least that I can demonstrate here, what's on the slide that we should have matching what we're saying to the slides is the course here publicly available on the web from Learn. Okay. But if you go to the exam, it is not the same collection. Let me pull this guy down and kind of side by side him with the exam so that you can see, really, one of my problems with having so many things open is that I get introduction. Nope. Please stand by. Where is my exam, people? There we go. Here's my exam. Let me bring this down. Now I'm here. Oh, I love doing this live in a recorded environment. That's awesome. So here is the exam. Off of the exam is the list. Starting with Canvas apps, and it focuses on Canvas apps versus the certification course page. Here we go, which looks differently. So now that I have this guy up, let me get my exam up. Okay, now I'm cooking with gas. You can see items in the collection for the course over on the left, Introduction to Microsoft PowerPoint Platform. Items in this collection, create a Canvas app. So if a student is following the modules from the exam page, he or she are going to be following the wrong modules in the wrong order, doing steps that are not the same, discussing content that isn't the same, and occasionally students will do this. So Hermine said mystery solved. That's where we go for certification track training. No PDF, not a fan. Stephen Freed had mentioned that. Yes, I agree. I am one of the MCTs, and you can call me an old timer, who would like to have some way of having the course content that students are paying for and we are being paid to teach available in such manner that we can look at when unable to get online, such as for us when we are flying to a location to do this training and we can't prep on the plane if there isn't adequate internet. So, Stephen, I am with you. I understand. However, they did have problems updating the PDFs, and they find it much easier, Microsoft does, to do updates to the stuff that's online. And I bet you that's a big driver for them. They want to just stop having those complaints. However, the slides, which is what we're doing, have to be updated manually because they're available at the download center. So you can see where that is different. Nonetheless, this is what we've got. Students on the right, instructors on the left. Introduction to Power Platform versus Create a Canvas app and Power Apps. And they are clearly different. On the left, we focus on introducing them to Power Platform, introducing them to model-driven apps and Dataverse, because these are money makers. I think Microsoft wants those to be covered first. Then tables and Dataverse, again, you need a pretty hefty license in order to be able to get Dataverse. That's not a free connector. So that gets there first. And then getting started with model-driven, managing columns, doing security. None of that is about Canvas apps. It's in a very much a different focus and a different order. So if the student goes to exam PL 100 versus course PL 100, they will get different modules. Students will student. They'll do what they want. And if you don't have that control or they choose not to, they are going to be doing different material. So nonetheless, all of this is here. This also lets you know you can create collections, because we can create collections of these modules and do them in the order that suits. If you want to learn, if you're doing a user group and you're training people, these modulars are by definition modular. Modules are modular. There you go. There's also other ways to get to the learning paths. If you just click on learning paths, you can browse all learning paths in all kinds of different orders. Again, users may do this. Users may just type in PL 100 here and search for it, and they will get a whole bunch of stuff that's very much different than what your course modules are. So if you are teaching and you have students who say they've done this before, I did this module before. You could have if you've done them alone online. My modules don't match your modules. This doesn't work. These don't work. It's because they may not be in the same space as you are. And I know that there have been MCTs out there who have said, I don't like it. Sharon said, would you mind CNP those URLs on the screen into the chat for your side by sides? Thanks, Sharon. I may just do that. Why not? So that you can side by side them yourself. Sure. But if you do have concerns, they could be along this way, because I've seen MCT say the modules that I am in do not match my slides. They don't match the slides. The slides don't match. The students aren't getting what I have and things of that nature. And it could be because, again, we're heads down on exactly what we do from 9 to 5, 5 to 6 days a week if you do some teaching on Saturdays. So you may not realize what this other stuff is going on out there. So I'm going to do a side-by-side. Here we are with just doing PL 100. I'm I'm going to drop this in so you can see my full page. And because Sharon has a point, we might as well do this. You guys can do that yourself on your own screens. So this is the PL 100 course. Or no, the exam. What is this? Yeah, this is the exam link I just dropped in. And then I'm going to put the course up here. I have so many of these pages open. Such a sin. I'm going to go back to learning paths, courses. Here we go to the courses. Search for PL 100. Give that a click. Grab the link and drop it in. So now you can see the 3 pages that I have been to. And thank you, Sharon, for your patience. This was kind of what I was going towards concerning these links and the fact that these modules are different. The modules basically followed the skill pipe, but I have noticed, because I have experience teaching the skill pipe content, that they're not exactly the same. However, you can't get to skill pipe anymore. Students are not getting what they are. Somebody did a new message. Excuse me. So you can't get to the skill pipe to compare anymore. Students are not going to be saying this is out of order, because now this is the defining order. This is the defining quality. And what we have is the slides to fall back on. I wanted to show you in more detail the slides so that we could see where the slides, you start with 1, and this is the first set of modules, and there's about 6 of them for PL 100, and you scroll through and you teach stuff, and then you get to a page with another link in here that takes you to a different module. This one just so happens to only have 1 link, but as you scroll down through a lot of these, there is a yellow link for you to go to the next learning path module. And they basically follow the learning paths for the modules here. And they just fall into sections, just like those that we are accustomed to: introduction to the Dataverse, introduction to model-driven apps, etc., just like our courses used to. And so the slides basically line up. For my experience, it was kind of weird to have a slide deck that is a certain subset of all the slides. And when you get through those, you close that one and go to the next subset to try to follow these modules. But it's often driven by the slides and no longer the courseware per se. And remember, if you're going to be doing the hands-on labs, you need to do the GitHub Microsoft certified. Let's see, GitHub. We'll do PL 100 again. And get to the labs here at PL 100. And I suggest you get for me, PL 100, you may be teaching something else. And I suggest you create there's latest student handbook. But you can make a link to the labs page so that you can immediately get into these labs for instructing about the labs themselves. The labs are particularly very convenient when you're training for a training center or a client that has a lab hosted or a lab host provider, so they can just open the lab host environment and all that information is there. So this was basically it for the kind of the lab stuff that I wanted to cover, not lab stuff, the learning path stuff that I wanted to cover. That was all over the place as I surfed through dozens of windows. My apologies, I was doing a lot of work before I came online here, but you clearly can see that if you put the 2 pages side by side, that they are different. that students can get to the modules in multiple different ways in different orders. So make sure they're doing the course one and make sure you're teaching off the course ones. Stephen Fried, it isn't instructor versus student. There's two different entry points of content. One matches the mock order, the other one may not. Students usually find the wrong one. Thank you, Stephen. That's kind of what I was talking about. And when I am dealing with small businesses, with self-driven learners, with people who are career changers, they can get into the weeds looking at the wrong modules. So I have about 7 minutes left or so, or actually I'm 2 minutes slow. Can you tell I need more caffeine? I'm 2 minutes slow, so that means we have 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any additional questions? You can open your mic and ask, or you can do so in the chat. I didn't get to see the whole conversation between Sharon and Stephen, but thank you for participating and actually asking questions and just letting me know if any of you have been having these issues. I had one, what order are the labs presented in? That's a really great question, Hermine, because it's not something that is in my control how the lab providers do the labs, but generally they are in the correct module order, because if you go to GitHub, you can see the labs, the 2 of 2, 3. In other words, let's just grab, say, lab 4. You can see all the images that were used for the labs in the document. I was just taking the media, for example. Lab 0, lab 1, lab 2, etc. The labs are in order right here, and they tend to do them in the same order in the lab software. So Lab 00 was the first written module document, like the MOC, specifically for creating a lab environment using a trial, which we don't have to worry about because the lab providers do that part for you. So you start in lab 1 and you go from there. And if you are, the second lab, part 1, second lab, part 2, etc., just like they would be in our mock, and it's literally printed out that way. So this can be reassuringly similar and something that we are accustomed to. Generally, though, these students are going to be using the lab providers like XtremeLabs. Hello, Sana. They do labs for technical trainers, for technical training centers like us, and for Microsoft products. So does anybody have any questions in the next couple of minutes?